Hi, everybody. I am so happy to have you all online today. My name is Paula Savonen, and I am the VP of Communications for Kempower, and also your host today. Today, with the members of the management team, we will present the financial results for 2022. And what a year we've had. We start the session with our CEO, Tomi Ristimäki. Tomi will present the key highlights for the year. And after Tomi, we continue with our Chief Operations Officer, Sanna Otava. Sanna will talk about how we collaborate with the supply chain and also how we scale up the production. And after Sanna, we will have our Chief Market Officer, Jussi Vanhanen, giving market update and also talking about Kempower brand and how the Kempower brand has developed during the year. And we will end the session with our Chief Financial Officer, Jukka Kainulainen. Jukka Kainulainen will present you the key financials for the year. I really hope you enjoy the presentations, and please ask questions from us, as many questions as you wish. You can type in the questions in Finnish or in English in the Q&A box on your screen, and we will take all the questions in the end of the session. But now, let's jump into the world of EV charging. Tomi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paula. So happy to be here. Actually, this is a great day to be here presenting Kempower with the result what we have. So let's go to the right slide. So definitely a positive year and really an extremely nice year, I would say, from my side. We are growing faster than the market. These can be the figures when we compare how many DC chargers are installed in Europe, how much the market is moving compared to our sales figures, which are growing almost 300% still to this date. North America entry is progressing well. We communicated the location in North Carolina, and the actions are going forward to get our North American entry going forward. Revenue outside of the Nordics, more than 50% on the last quarter. We are seeing actually that we are following our strategy to also boost the market outside of our home turf, the Nordics. Capacity expansion continues successfully. Without that, we could not have done the amazing figures we are going to show you today, because we need, as a product company, we need the production, we need the capacity to produce the goods. Delivery reliability remained at excellent level. This is really true that we were in a difficult year when you look at the component situation. We have all read the press and what has happened on the market when everybody's talking about component shortage. Everybody's talking about the problems in there. I think we handled the situation well last year. We were able to deliver goods to our customers in time. So about the Q4 figures, this is really, really nice to look at the figures. 61.7 million order intake, 352% growth in the fourth quarter. Revenue was the record quarter for us, 37.8 million, and we are keeping our gross margin at good level, which looks at the profitability in the long term, that we can keep this at good level, so we are making a product company that can actually make it in the long run. Headcount 375. Doesn't sound big, but if we compare the end of 21 was 135, then this change is about 2.5 times more people. So there has been a lot of job interviews during the year, and we have actually succeeded very well of finding not only the quantity, also the quality of people, so we have extremely good team. Looking at the growth strategy execution in Q4. Regional expansion, of course, we highlighted already in the beginning of the year that Europe is the key market where we make the sales. 9 subsidiaries in Europe. And then as a second main point of our strategy, what already was from the IPO times, we talk about the American market. The North America entry, the state of North Carolina communicated after the review period. We really see this region in US, it was according to our ESG goals. This is a really good state. Also from the point of view what kind of people live there, what kind of people move there. There's several universities, 16 universities within the region. We see the workforce actually, and they're able to actually grow in the area and develop in this area, not to mention the supplier base, which fits our needs very well. Customers, looking at our 4 customer groups, we look at our public charging market, we look at charge point operators, we have cooperated, that's also retail chains that we are selling directly to. Then we have the fleet operators, logistic companies, we talk about bus companies, then OEMs, so we talk about customers who are selling our solution as part of their solution, part of their delivery content, and then finally our sales partners and installers. So we are growing in all of these groups. And it's really important when we look at our future that we have to grow in these customer groups and also geographically wide, but we divide the market risk. And we already explained later, you can show in the figures, we were lately still speaking about the seasonality of our business. You can see the effect on the numbers now. You can see how the Nordics reacts when it comes to Q4. It drops a bit, but now we had other markets that are filling the gap, just as we promised. And then as a customer base, I think the big change of the year, in social media, people have been talking about it's the year of the electric trucks. It was already said last year, and I think it's even more true this year, that there is, for us, there's several contracts in truck customer group. We had a large heavy vehicle manufacturer in Nordics, actually making a global contract or an international contract with us. Then we are looking at the cooperation with Einride, one of the leaders in the commercial vehicle and autonomous commercial vehicle market. And then as a nice example project is our partners project in Australia with JetCharge, that we were able to be together in the largest electric vehicle logistic fleet project in Southern Australia, which is showing that this movement is not only Europe, it's not only US, it's also happening all around the world. Growth strategy execution even more. I think the key of product company, of course, is the production as well. Capacity expansion, it looks at the space, it looks at the people, and in the last half year, we recruited 115 people, which if you put in the perspective, that total number in the end of 21 was 135, so almost the same number. So within the half year, we already hired as many people as we had in the end of 21. New factory ramp-up is continued, and we are going to develop that further. I will leave it then next to Sanna to tell you what we are doing and how these things actually affect us. But it's not a product company without products. So we started the deliveries with our adaptive voltage charging solution, which means actually that we are now able to deliver single chargers can charge every vehicle batteries that is on the market today. Before we had this separation that we have a commercial vehicle chargers, personal car chargers. Now we have a system that can actually adapt and give the optimal charging performance based on the actual vehicle needs, even better than before. And then, of course, to the bus segment, we have delivered before some pilots in this field, but still in some cities in Europe, it's very crucial that certain lines of buses need very high power charging. So that's why we have this pantograph chargers. So these are these systems that charge from the roof of the bus with very, very high power. And then I give the stage to Sanna to tell about more her field. I keep it. Yeah.
So in year 21, our team succeeded to increase the production capacity with 500%. And last year, we did it again. So last year, we scaled our production with 500% by opening our final assembly factory in Lahti. And what next? We have 3 different streams how we scale up. First, we improve our existing production processes, improve our material flow, and improve our production lead times. And second one, we are looking for different options how we can increase our production capacity in Europe. And the third one, we are planning to open our first final assembly factory in US in North Carolina by end of this year. And the availability of electronic component, that was challenging last year. But however, thanks for the hard work done, we succeed so well that there were no significant impacts on the customer deliveries. At the moment, we see that we have a strong position among global suppliers because we have enough credibility as a company, and we have good connections and active dialogue with global component manufacturing companies at the moment. And it helps that the EV industry as is attractive for suppliers. We reduce our risk for continuing our dual sourcing strategy, and we also strengthened our purchasing team last year. And we see that this year we won't expect any or significant impact on our profitability because of those component and material prices. Thank you. And next, Jussi.
Thank you, Sanna. What an awesome year it was. That in the end of the year, we were looking at the chart side data, and we saw that the data is getting bigger and bigger. This is the curve from the charging energy we provided for the EV drivers. The first quarter, we were charging approximately 8 gigawatt hours, and then the fourth quarter, already 30 gigawatt hours. This is an amazing result what our chargers can deliver. That means that from our operations, that we really can deliver the promises that we have given our customers. Number two, our installation and commissioning of our chargers, they went like planned. And a huge thank for our team in solution and services, but also the whole global service partner network. This is a team effort and a great result from everybody. Third one, clearly that every charging session matters, and that's why we are recording the charging sessions to our charge site. And the success rate of the charging is one of our KPIs. Next slide. We were carrying out the brand survey during the autumn with the third-party brand company. And this result, what we gained from the survey, made me really humble. And it seems that we are on the right track. The spontaneous feedback about the Kempower brand was that we are reliable, flexible, and innovative. That's a very comfortable position and exactly what we want to do and where we want to be. EV drivers were rating us as a reliable, high quality, user-friendly, and most important of all, that we are very safe and the safety of our charging stations. For our direct customers, it seems that it's very important that our customers for B2B business, that they can go and have their own charging experience at our chargers when they are selecting the charger for their fleets. So it really works that they collect the experience and bringing that into their businesses. And number three, that the Kempower satellite system, it's good match and high value for heavy duty users. That unparalleling 400 kilowatt power from the single satellite, that is something awesome. Then, like Paula promised, last little bit how the European market looks, that the charging points in Europe, that was increasing by 56%, and last year meaning if you look at our result, what we were gaining the market share quite dramatically and doing much faster than that. All in all, the market, according to the EU plans, is growing more than 26% of the year, but already now we know that this plan will be much faster and the growth rate will be bigger. We will get back to these numbers later during the spring. But anyway, it looks promising, the market is growing, and the Kempower is in the position we want to be. Thank you, and now back to Tomi.
Thank you about this important topic of sustainability, which of course is in a key position for us as a clean tech company. This is the sustainability commitments and long-term targets. These three topics, main thing, 100% carbon neutrality by 2035, responsible products, and the best workplace. Some highlights from the calculations, what we are already doing, and also reporting with our this year, that energy consumption when relative to revenue is 68% better. We are looking at CO2 emission 58% lower in the second half of 22. And still, when we look at the best workplace, the best measurement, of course, is the ENPS, Employee Net Promoter Score. So it's 80, which is awesome, excellent, amazing figure. So of course, this is a situation that it cannot keep this way when you are growing this space, but looking at still with this growth, we are able to keep this high. So this is extremely good. And coming to a slide that I love in this presentation, I think it's time to also look at the year as what it is. Growth Company of the Year. Internationalization Award from the President of Finland. Becoming the top player in the Nordic EV charging market. And gaining the market share in the rest of Europe. Starting production in the new facility. It's a 500% increase in capacity. Look at the factory size. And managing the component availability risk. And if we look at the right-hand side in here, that's something. Over 100 million revenue. This is something, and over 200 million order intake. That's another figure which gets that we are really doing the right thing. And of course, I could say it's my doing. It's the Kempower team. I've been extremely happy on the people who we have on the team. It's one big success in the company. I think it's also choosing the right people with us and being able to find them in time. And actually, when you look at the team we have today, it can deliver. It has shown the capacity increase. It has shown the sales growth. We are looking at the expansion. This is all parts of the business is working very efficiently. You cannot do these kind of growth figures in manufacturing industry without amazing team. And that led, of course, to this market cap reached over 1 billion. And of course, when we talk about the team, 239 new people, new colleagues. This is something when still putting it to the last year's with 135. There's a lot of new people, and we are able to get them also on board. It also tells that the pace of hiring is that we are preparing for the next year's growth as well. Now I give the stand to Jukka to give you also the facts behind the figures. So Jukka, here you go.
Thank you, Tomi, and hello everyone also from my behalf. And going to financial review, this is actually our first financial statements with IFRS, so has been a big change for the company also on that area for the 2022. But like my colleagues mentioned, it was really great, amazing year for us. Looking it from financial business point of view, when looking the key numbers, order intake, we reached 61.7 million euros in Q4, close to 209 million euros full year. In revenue, we reached almost 38 million euros in Q4 and broke the 100 million euro full year, so 103.6. So that's like Tomi said, that's quite quite an important milestone for the company. It's even historical number because we really did that for 2022. When looking a little bit down in the P&L, yes, we kept a healthy gross margin, but like Sanna mentioned, we really increased our production capacity. We invested quite a lot on that. We got almost 240 people into the company during the year, but still, we made in quarter four 9% operative EBIT, 6% for the full year. So I think that's also quite great achievement by the company. Our operating cash flow, that was negative quarter four, 8.4 million euros and 5.4 in full year. And I'm covering that a little bit more in details in the following slides. But like I said, it was a great milestone to reach this 100 million euros in revenue for the 2022. Okay, then let's little bit look our revenue, how it has developed. And when you look on the left-hand side, it's starting the full year 2020, and then it goes to by quarter, looking 21 and 22. So like I mentioned, we made almost 38 million euros revenue quarter four, which was more than 350% growth year on year. And what is really positive also when looking a little bit more details behind the numbers. So we are not anymore the Finnish company growing Finland or the Nordics company growing Nordics. We actually grew quickest in rest of the Europe. If you look at it in absolute terms, relative terms, rest of the Europe was the quickest grower. And actually we generated revenue 52% outside Nordics. So that is also quite an important number when looking quarter four. And what is also really positive here, that when looking whole year, we more than tripled the revenue compared to the previous year. Little bit then about our organization. Like Tomi mentioned, we almost tripled our headcount or our people during 2022. And when you look also, there is a split between Finland and outside Finland. We are also now growing really rapidly outside Finland. So we are not all anymore company with Finnish people. We have actually quite many nationalities, quite many countries. Like Tomi mentioned, 9 subsidiaries already in place in Europe and in USA. When you look this headcount split by units, of course, the operations unit is the biggest one where we have our production, but we all the time have to focus and invest on all the units, strengthen all the units in order to make the growth for the future. Then a little bit our sales performance. When looking order intake, it grew more than 400% year on year. So really great performance also in that area. And that was of course reflected in our order backlog. But thanks to our quite a effective production process, production unit, it's not only piling up in the order backlog, the new orders, but we were able to deliver to customers and recognize the revenue effectively as well. Then about the gross margin, profitability measurement, and operating cash flow. So like Tomi mentioned, we kept the gross margin on a healthy level whole year, so 47% quarter four, 46% full year. But then it's important to note that when we are growing, so growth is of course employing quite a lot of capital, and our net working capital is increasing. So especially when we look at the inventory levels, account receivables, and specifically when looking inventories, so we always have to make sure that we can deliver to customers with the growing volumes for the future. So that's employing more capital than in the companies which are not growing at all. And then of course the risk of component availability, which is impacting also us. So that's employing the capital slightly more than in normal situation. Then as the next one about our outlook and financial targets for 2023. So we of course target the growth. We are a growth company. We live from the growth. But we also want to keep and take care of the profitability. We have been able to deliver the positive profitability, and that's what we target also in the future. But what is really important to remember for 2023 is now when we entered the US, actually 2 years before we were originally planning. So that means some extra cost for this year. We need to recruit new people. We need to ramp up the factory, get that up and running, complete the project regarding that. So that's impacting our profitability for 2023. But when looking our revenue guidance, we target 180 million minimum revenue for this year and 210 million revenue in maximum. But regarding this operative EBIT, we target positive operative EBIT and a single-digit operative EBIT margin for the year. And regarding our financial targets, we are updating the financial targets in April this year in the Capital Market Day. So at the moment, we don't have financial targets in effect, but we will come out when we publish our Q1 numbers in Capital Market Day out with the new financial targets. And then I hand over to Tomi.
Then as a final conclusion, the strategic priorities of 2023, where the focus is. Growth in Europe, of course, on the top. This is our market where we grow the fastest. Then to secure the future growth, the North American market entry is a very key in there. But then when we are talking about new factories, we are talking about square meters, there's also very high priority on our side to improve the current factory in Finland and how to actually flow things faster, how to produce more without, let's say, building walls around it. So we are all the time doing continuous improvement of the production, how to make it more efficient. Recruitment of top talents. Everybody thinks of North America, very key thing, but our growth in Europe will keep us in the same path of recruitments as well. We have to find the right people at the right time with the right know-how. Supply chain development. Of course, this is again a topic that relates everybody to the component shortage, but it's not only that. It's not only securing the component. We have to have how we produce the supply chain, sub-suppliers, our contract manufacturers. They are key in our production chain. So we have to have the partners who grow with us, or we have to divide the volume to several suppliers. So this is a continuous development and really key in our growth. And as a final conclusion, more plugs and more power. This summarizes about everything. It summarizes the R&D, where we need to focus. The trucks are coming to the market. They need higher powers. We have more electric cars. They need more plugs. And we need to have solutions that we serve the customers in the right way. And also we need to deliver more, of course, to meet our new guidance. So from that point of view, I conclude the presentation part of the presentation and we go into the Q&A. So here you go.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks a lot for the audience. We have had a lot of questions and we actually start not with the chargers, but with the animals. And I'm going to answer to the question myself because it's about the brand. So what's with the kangaroos on the title slide? Well, our vision is to make the world's most desired chargers and deliver those for everyone, everywhere. And the animals are a little bit reflecting that. Our chargers are already everywhere around the world. Then we go to the other questions and out of the animals. Product related. Have the 22 kilowatt charging stations with a fixed charging cable already entered the market? And are these also marketed outside of Finland? AC.
Thank you. Yeah, so you mean the AC charger that we were launching with the cable management in the autumn. That, we are shipping them out already. And it was a product in the beginning that we were thinking that we will not do because we are the DC charger company. But then the retail customers wanted to have the same charging experience in all chargers, also in AC, and we wanted to do it. So it was a really high request from the customers. But short answer, to your question that yes, the delivery is ongoing and cars are charged by our AC chargers, also outside of Finland.
Yes. Then about the USA, will the factory in the USA manufacture exactly the same charging devices as what is now manufactured in Lahti? Or will the current equipment be changed to suit the US market and the electricity grid?
Today, actually, we made the spec of the voltage is different in US. We made the design from the beginning to fit the US market when we started in 2018. So it was taken into account. Canadian market is a little bit different. There we need to have extra equipment. But then from the point of view, we see that our current portfolio fits very well what is needed. For example, the NEVI program, the government-funded investment program, that it fits quite well to our satellite system. But we prepare, of course, to the future needs that many times in the markets, the American market has demanded differences to European and things change. So we will have engineers also working in the US company if there is the needs. But today we see it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and there was actually a follow-up question also about the product development. Will the product development of chargers manufactured in the USA remain in Finland? Or will there be a separate local product development unit in the States?
I think it's the German answer, Jein again. I already answered that partly. But actually, when I was visiting also the universities of North Carolina State, there is a heavy focus on power electronics development. So I see possibilities actually, because the know-how is actually in this state. It was one of our key decisions that our field of education in highest level is actually done in there. And funny part was also that they are cooperating with European university called LUT, which is in our city. So that was a coincidence, but that actually fits the picture quite well. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we go to the factory capacity. I assume that Lahti factory capacity measures up to sales of 200 million euros. Sanna, is that right?
Yeah, actually the principle is that we are planning the capacity so that we are reaching those financial targets sets also in the long term.
Yeah. So then, how large capacity will the US factory have in the beginning of 2024?
I think we are very close of announcing that because I think our, let's say, contractual matters with the real estates and the lease agreements in US is now something that we can, I think within a week we can have this information out.
Very good. Then we go to talk again about the capacity. Regarding the capacity expansion, how would you describe the markets in terms of availability of people? Not only in terms of numbers, but also in terms of skills and competencies. And maybe this goes to Jukka.
Yeah, I think how to answer on that, it's we are not only, which is positive, it's that we of course are in Finland, but we are now in many countries, so we can also look the talent needs from that perspective. But I think the fact is that, bigger you become, more challenging it is to find really good talents.
I have been actually really high, and also our publicity has had the other side, that we get actually the level of the applicants is getting higher, that we have more experienced people also applying. We cannot always offer a position for people coming from director positions because there just isn't enough director positions, but looking at also skilled individuals, for example, we look at our late hires in our chart side team for the cloud development. It has been a really big success when we look at the experience of people hired.
Yeah, so there was actually a follow-up question here also. How do you see the future in these terms, if you think about the skills and competencies of people? Will there be people-related bottlenecks hampering your growth plans and results?
Well, I can answer that it's only about people. So if you don't have good people, you cannot grow. So that is for a fact. But in the growth company, of course, you really need to focus on the growing the people, training the people, getting best possible people to company. So that's the nature of our life, I would say.
Yeah.
And looking at also this hybrid working, what we were born actually in the COVID time and our growth was done. So it's also, we have already if we look at country of Finland, we have people in almost all over the Finland. They are working remotely. They are sometimes in Lahti. They are sometimes in Tampere. It's a working culture that also supports the freedom of hiring in different places, and we are very flexible in the location-wise to work with that.
And also, I think in other countries, people can work from home or.
Yeah, if you look at our
be in the
German
office.
team, they are in every corner of Germany, so it's very hard to even find when you find the
Recruiting the talent was one of the Tommy's top 6 topics, so that it's a reason for it that it was in the list. It's very important for us.
Yeah. How about Sanna? Have you found good people to operations?
Yes. Yes, I have. And actually, I would like to add that it's not only our people, but also it's important that we select very strong supply chain suppliers and competent suppliers. So it's a little wider than in-house skilled person.
And also the cooperation with educational facilities. We cooperate with universities or with vocational schools. We have the cooperation, also have the young talent, that we have a possibility to get the best out of the best also from there.
Yes. Then there is a question about the regulations, regulatory environment related. Could you remind us of the recent regulatory developments in the European Union? What are the main things we should consider there? Are there any?
I can start with the European regulation, that the regulation works more the direction of subsidies, and that the countries are now, there's a European law, and countries are now giving support of investing high power charging stations, and this is mainly providing that infrastructure for truck charging for the future. So for this 10T road network investment, that's happening in Europe now. This is very strong. Number 2 regulation was just announced this week, was this that EU decided to ban the combustion engine sales for EVs from the year 35 onwards. Okay, so it's 12 years from this moment, but it comes very fast, and we need to accelerate the EVs towards that. Those are like 2 examples. And in North America, there's these NEVI regulations and support mechanisms, and it's its own structure, but the same thing, that the heavy investment support for the NEVI compliant systems that we fulfill.
Thank you, Jussi.
Thank you.
Then about the outlook and the future. When thinking about the future and your outlook, what kind of risks and threats you have identified, and how have you planned to mitigate those?
Well, of course, there's always risk. You know, we made 100 million revenue, and now we are in our according outlook doubling it. So of course, there's always risk. But like we already mentioned, we need people to make the growth happen. So we have that, I think, many times repeated, that this is of course our big risk also at the moment. But like we said, we have found really good people this year in all the units. We have excellent personnel. So we are managing that really well.
Thanks, Jukka.
And I would mention also the supply chain, not only the components, but the supply chain must grow as fast as us. That we have to be developing the whole supply chain, because that's a critical part of our manufacturing process.
Yeah, both in Europe and in North America.
In the States,
Then there is a question about the brand. You mentioned, Jussi, that Kempower brand has strengthened in Europe. How do you see your brand developing in the US market, and how are you going to get foothold in the North American market?
Yeah, this was interesting, that we were really worried that how we enter into the big wild world there, and there's a lot of bad examples also from Finland, that it's how difficult it is there. It seems that all the marketing efforts we have done in digital network and YouTube channels and that kind of, we are already known now when we go there. It's amazing feedback from everywhere that the people are giving high fives when we go there, that yes, Kempower, welcome, finally you're here also. So I think we are on the right path. We just continue the marketing strategy we have, and it will be fine.
We will do that.
Yeah, let's do.
And Jussi was actually visiting North America last week, was it? So
exactly,
you have fresh experience.
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning
exactly the time we announced the news.
Yeah, the high fives everywhere there. It was so awesome.
Nice to hear. Then Jukka, about the financials. How large share of your revenue is coming from charging equipment for buses and trucks?
We don't disclose that separately. even though it's of course really important customer group. But what we have communicated also earlier, and it's still valid, that this CPO and retail customer group is still the biggest one, revenue-wise, cash flow-wise. But I think quite well Jussi mentioned today in his presentation that we expect also the other customer groups like trucks growing quite quickly in the future.
When going forward.
Yes.
Yes, and actually the truck market is just coming up, and it has been because there hasn't been electric trucks available. And now the truck manufacturers are pushing the market, and if you look at the news where they are focusing their efforts, it's clearly looking at their big efforts are put into the battery-operated vehicles. So it is actually going into that direction. So it is quite, the year of electric trucks is not far from the truth.
Very good. Then Henri Parkkinen OP asks about your order backlog at the end of 2022. When do you expect delivered those orders?
Yeah, I think it hasn't changed. I have actually answered earlier also how our order backlog is recognized as a revenue. So it's from 1 quarter to 3, depending on the customer, and that's still valid.
Yeah. Can we talk anything about the delivery times?
It's
Not
depending
exact
on the
numbers.
customer.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And forecasting and everything,
Yeah.
but I think we are still in the market when we compare whatever data we get from the market, that we are quite good position compared to the competition, that how we deliver.
Yes. Then there is another question from Henri Parkkinen. Your view regarding materials and components. No major negative financial impact expected in 2023. Is this view based on current spot market prices or on your current contracts with material suppliers?
Sanna, do you? Oh.
Yeah, mainly based on the contracts and what we have, what the result so far, what we have, the result from the negotiations. Therefore, we know this year quite well.
And like I think Sanna mentioned that we have this, and also Tomi, the better purchasing power as we have grown as a company, and our industry is really interesting also from the supply point of view.
Thank you. Then we go to charging points in Europe. According to our slide material, the number of charging points grew 56%
Correct.
in Europe in 2022. How much did your volumes grow in Europe and globally if measured in charging points? And this is actually something that we have not yet communicated if you think about the charging points.
Yeah, can I communicate now? Or?
No, I think we will save that to Capital Markets Day, because we will need to figure, that figures will come out there. But I think it's not far when we have kept our margins the same. So the revenue number is not far. So if we look at the 56% growth, and we are growing almost 300%. And it also means that anybody growing less than 56% is losing market share. So it's also good to when you look at the peers in the market.
And hey, you just heard one reason why you need to save the date for the Capital Markets Day. We will communicate the date after the Q&A session, so you need to stick to the end now. Then, did your production capacity or delivery times impact the fourth quarter orders, or were orders limited by market demand in principle? Did your production capacity or delivery times impact the fourth quarter orders, or were orders limited by market demand in principle?
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
If it would be deliveries, it would be easier to understand.
I guess it means deliveries.
Yeah, deliveries.
Yeah, I think it's what we have communicated also before, that there is more demand than supply on the market. So this is about, and it's when we look at that, we grew to 100 million company from 27.4 million. So it gets really hard to actually accelerate even faster. It's quite remarkable figure for manufacturing company at the young age, especially where we are. So it is something that we are building all the capacity from new, and we are ramping it up very fast. So it gets to a limit at some point, and you need to actually continue the walk, do the work. It's really hard work, actually.
And
it's
keeping
not
the
luck,
quality.
it's not by accident. It is a lot of hard work is put in the effort in growing the company, doing the sale. The whole work is, it might look easy when we are putting in a lot of good figures, but it's a hard work.
And keeping the good quality.
Quality,
Yeah,
At the
not
same
in the
time,
same
that's
time.
the-
Yeah, you cannot sacrifice the quality. So
Yes. Jukka, the next question is about the investments. How are the investments only 6 million euros for fiscal year 22?
Yeah, good question. Actually, when we go back in the year in IPO times, 21, we actually expected a little bit more CapEx for the year. So I think that has been also a positive outcome that with the smaller CapEx, we can scale up the amount of capacity we did in this year. So it's of course the positive thing regarding our capital employed.
Yes. Then we go to pricing. Pricing-related questions. What is the price point in the United States versus Europe at the moment for DC chargers?
I think there is, for especially these NEVI-compliant products, there's not many out there yet. So in that group, I could think it's a little bit higher than Europe today. But it's a global market in every product you sell if you have similar products. When you have American market standards and you have the NEMI compliance, you have a little bit maybe different, small differences that affect the price. But more or less, I think when you have more limited supply, like we have the NEMI compliant chargers today in US, because there's not many manufacturers being able to do that. So then the price point might be a bit higher. But in overall, it's a global price.
Yes, and there is a follow-up question also about the pricing. How is Kempower's pricing power in general, for example, compared to our peers?
We are very competitive with the pricing, and that's where we want to be. Our charging solution is a premium product for the market. So we are getting a little bit better price, and we create more value for the customer. So we have calculated that we can charge roughly 30% more energy at the same charging station. So we can tell a reason why we can take a little bit more money for the order.
Yeah, it's in general, but it's also the fact that when we look at our profitability and the growth together, it is the price at the right level for both for the profitability and for the sales, because you can see the growth and you can see also the margin.
Thank you. Then we go to Outlook 2023, which we published today. How dependent your revenue growth guidance for 2023 is on the market conditions? Have you made any assumptions regarding currency rates, inflation rate, pricing, etc.? Do you expect trade union strikes? This is another question. Let's take this first part first. So how dependent are we, Kempower, how dependent are we on inflation rate, pricing, currency rates?
Inflation, of course, if we think about it from the customer pricing point of view, I think we have communicated even earlier that we have done some updates in the pricing for this year. From the currency exchange point of view, of course, it can have always impact when we also grow as a company and will be more global and including many other countries which is not in Europe. Of course, it can have an impact, but of course there is a maybe relatively higher range also in our outlook than usually. It relates, of course, on our company. You know, we are growing so rapidly, so of course in that sense, it's a makes sense that we have some range also in our outlook. But we, of course, when we make public the outlook, we are quite confident then that we make it happen.
Yes. Then, do you expect trade union strikes at ports and logistics, AKT, to have a material impact on your sales on the first quarter?
I think, can Sanna take it maybe?
Yeah, it's too early a little bit to say. Of course, there might be some impacts, of course. But now we are following how long it will continue. Then we see the results.
Thank you, Sanna. And then it's time for the last question. There has been plenty. Thank you for all. Seems that you are soon as big in terms of market capitalization as all the other companies in the First North list together. When are you going to move on to the Nasdaq main list?
I need to give this boring answer like always. We don't have decision on that. But of course, we are now in IFRS. We are quite compliant as a company to make it happen. But to be honest, we don't have any kind of decision. But that's certainly what we also constantly discuss in the management team, for example. But no plans, no decisions regarding.
Thank you, Jukka. And now I would like to thank you all for the super interesting questions and for the discussions. And please follow us. Follow the social media channels, and also go out if you have an EV, go out and charge your car and send us feedback. And now the most important thing, we will have Kempower's first Capital Markets Day on the April 20th. So save the date. We will be there with a lot of interesting information. Thank you all. Bye-bye.